If your PvE shooter game has a demo, you better believe I'm gonna lap it up on all fours like a good boy. I counted 7 PvE shooter games from the recent Steam Next Fest, and I've ranked them from worst to best for you. So if you're looking for something fresh to add to your wishlist, even if it's a little rough around the edges, I've got you covered, mate. Just bear in mind that this video is only my opinion, and you should always try these games out for yourself. With that out of the way, here's all 7 PvE shooter games ranked from worst to best based on their June Next Fest demo. Move over, Mullet Mad Jack, because there's a new go fast or die shooter on the block. Killflow is basically post-void but drawn from memory with marker pens, in that your health is constantly draining but kills replenish it, complete with a similarly garish art style and insane muzzle flash. It's nauseating to watch but tolerable to play. You run around procedurally generated corridors blasting red plasticine people and collecting upgrades. The demo only features a single endless mode where the limited number of upgrade doors eventually run out, and your run ends because you're overwhelmed by the sheer number of sentient hemorrhoids rushing you down. I see the vision, and I couldn't help but get addicted to it for a few minutes, but it's extremely sparse in content and easily the weakest of the games we're going to cover today. Like, there's only about 4 enemy types, and one of them runs so fast it jump scares the piss out of me. Often running past you, so you have to awkwardly whip round to figure out where the bold backshot king even went.
It's crack.
It's a surprisingly competent entry into whatever this subgenre of shooters is called. Just needs a bit more meat on them bones to earn a slot on my wish list. Check it out if you have a few minutes to kill. Flow. He shot me through a wall. Now, if you like weird, this one's for you. Zaibaly is a comedy horror boomer shooter about fending off shit post-Lovecraftian bullshit with ad hoc weaponry. The developers are Ukrainian and made it abundantly clear the whole thing's some surreal allegory for living under threat of constant aerial assault from Russia. Just, you know, swap out the drone strikes for bearded glob spitters and whatever the fuck that is. It also explains the distinctly post-Soviet vibe to this pixelated courtyard, of which you'll be spending the entirety of the demo. It's only a matter of time before the next air raid begins, so you might as well wander around looking for something else to do, other than shooting at bullet sponges with your middle finger guns. You could waste time looking for keys to open the various locked doors inside the apartment complex from which you woke, or you could just wait till you get the hilarious slipper melee weapon and smash the doors with it. There's a few doors in the basement you can't smash with an enemy kill count requirement, each containing a reward, like maybe some health pills, maybe a creepy mask to look at, or maybe a jar of pickles that double as both a health source and gas grenades. It's funny, creepy, stupid, blatantly low budget, and worth checking out. Just bear in mind the aiming feels a bit wonky and the middle fingers always seem to miss your crosshair, so once the Eurojank charm wears off, you're left with a pretty bare bones experience. Just not one I'm gonna forget anytime soon.
No freaking way! Oops, hey guys, it's your favorite ballistic cutie, Bella Bullet. Are you seeing this circuit-smashing stud blasting all the road clankers? So hype!
I don't like being mean about indie games, especially ones that clearly have a lot of heart poured into them. Gunstoppable is far from a bad game. It just fails to stand out in an oversaturated market of roguelite shooters. It's created by a team of just 2 people, one being an ex-God of War developer of all things. But that's about as relevant as the scar on my right hand from karate chopping Swiss rolls out of the air until I high-fived a broken glass. Structurally, it's exactly what you'd expect from a modern roguelite shooter. You drop into a self-contained arena, fight off waves of robots, find upgrades, level up mid-combat, and collect currency to spend at a merchant before moving to the next area. It's a vibrant soup of every mechanic you'd expect from the genre. Sliding instead of sprinting, wall running, grappling, bullet time, rail grinding, you name it. But none of these elements come together in a way that feels cohesive. The movement is passable but clunky and kind of slow, which is a bigger sin when you're doing the whole damage is tied to speed thing. The wall running feels less Titanfall and more indecisive fridge magnet. Plus there's an awkward icy drift whenever you let go of the directional keys, making precise platforming about as satisfying as cheese grating your knuckles off. Gunstoppable's USP is its dual wielding mechanics, allowing you to swap out each weapon with the scroll wheel independently, which is a cool concept. The problem is that everything felt worse than the starting gear. This space pistol and an assault rifle that looks like an SMG. The rocket launcher just kinda sucks, and the slow projectiles make hitting fast moving targets an exercise in prediction that pays off with a wet fart. Same problem with the crossbow, but with the added misery of bullet drop. You might as well be slapping them with a banana. Oh wait, you can do that. There's a banana boomerang gun, which confirms rockets and fruit share a terminal velocity in this universe. Surely they didn't fuck up the shotgun, right? Well, it has the damage drop-off you'd expect, but it's paired with such a slow fire rate and reload animation that it's again just worse than the starting gear. Then there's the katana. Make what you will of the glorious animation. It's a bit like Dimenshot in that you can send back projectiles, but god, it just feels inconsistent. Plus, you can only deflect 1 bullet at a time, and considering there's like 20 coming at your face, trying to play anime hero just gets you murked. So they plan to launch with a fully voice-acted campaign, but I'll let you make up your own mind on the quality of the voice acting.
Wait, am I being live streamed?
Yeah, and we're going. Today, I'm joined by Johnny Dust, son of the Evan Dust. W's in the chat for our sponsor, Dust Pack.
crime, eh?
Brace for crash landing. Please don't be dead. I guess flying in may have been too obvious.
It's gonna take more than a crash to stop me, Discord kitten. Now sell me your bathwater. You can have that for free. I don't mind some hammy voice acting, but I've heard better audio mixing at a DIY hardcore show.
Behind that door. Reese's finally find food.
Upgrades vary from basic stat ups to downright confusing, like rocket recoil, which claims attacks launch you backwards, adding more force per stack. Whose attacks? Mine? The enemies? I tested both and no one seems to be getting launched anywhere. What am I missing? There is some thought behind how you allocate upgrade slots in this weapon inventory UI. There's two types: passive augments, of which you can carry as many as you like, and weapon upgrades, of which you can only apply 3 per weapon. You can also only carry 4 weapons, including 2 of the same type, but you can't dual wield the same weapon, so if they have different stats, I'm not sure how you're supposed to know which one you have equipped. Also, trying to read the weapon stats is like pulling teeth, because every time you hover over it, it changes, so you have to click to pin it, but if you click, it also swaps things around, and you have to deal with this clunkiness mid-fight every time you level up, which does hurt the flow of combat. Other nitpicks include the fact bolts, the currency you collect and spend during runs, require you to practically drag your nutsack across them to pick them up. Oh, and they despawn after a short while, so almost never did I have enough to buy upgrades from this Skaven-coded rat bastard JPEG.
You look like you could use another weapon. You've got 2 hands after all.
I genuinely hope this is just a case of good game with a bad demo, because the devs clearly have passion and deserve to make a fantastic game. I just didn't get a very good first impression, especially since the last half of this demo seems to take place in the same room, copied and pasted over and over again. There might have been more after that, but it unceremoniously threw up a demo completed screen, so I assume there isn't. I wouldn't say it reaches asset flip levels of incongruence, but the enemies definitely don't feel like they belong to the same faction, with elite variants becoming absolute bullet sponges. That is, unless they get stuck in the level geometry like a helpless stepsister. I would try again, but I'm sick of hearing that voice actor from Ultra Kill pass a kidney stone. And losing a run to teleporting enemies is about as fun as pushing toothpicks down my knob. So on to the next game. Huh? Next up we have Bloodsworn, a crusty iron-stinking co-op roguelite about clearing rooms full of deranged cultists, or what's left of their pixelated gored bodies. I'm a bigger fan of this blood-soaked art style than I thought I'd be. The soundtrack is pretty neat. The enemies are varied, and the vision is promising. Compared to Gunstoppable, Bloodsworn has a much clearer, albeit traditional, roguelite vision. You clear rooms, gather upgrades, find weapons, of which you can only carry 2, and fight a boss at the end of each level. Movement is slow, but you can dash, and you'll gain a bunch of momentum if you jump after dashing. However, in its current state, it's let down by pretty bad gun feel and a few major design oversights. For starters, enemies only kinda react when you shoot them, opting instead for a loud, squelchy sound effect. They also get pretty tanky, especially in the later levels. I've since played it with my brother and it's definitely more balanced for co-op. Some enemies rush you down, some stand in place and shoot at you, whilst one of them squirts bouncing fire in all directions like my arse after a chicken madras. There's a variety of weapons in this game, but a lot of the ones I tried felt straight up bad to use, like this otherwise charming spell book which covers up most of the screen, and its projectiles make the rockets from Gunstoppable look like Usain fucking Bolt. I really like the heretical dial. Something about using the enemy tech against them is cool. It's just a shame the beam fails to render sometimes. Pistols are inaccurate, shotguns have near zero range, and melee weapons are painful to use because some enemies do contact damage and look how far his attacks reach. Meanwhile, this guy has the most pathetic payoff to a telegraphed wind-up I've ever seen. Like, the dynamite's good in the early game for crowd control, but one of the bosses is suspended on a wall out of reach, so if you brought the wrong weapons, you're just fucked. I have some gripes with the level design too. Typically, in roguelites like The Binding of Isaac, you can't leave a hostile room until you've cleared it. In Bloodsworn, this isn't the case, meaning you're able to cheese most encounters by filtering enemies through the door you came in from, which is a lot better than having them spawn all around you. The levels are procedural, sure, but they're also entirely linear with zero choice, and this invisible wall in the third area sucks as well. Upgrades vary from generic generic stat bumps to more inventive items like periodically spawning trap things. But considering the reload speed is tragic for most weapons, the upgrade that reduces it seems to be the best choice, especially since switching weapons is tedious and using your quick melee cancels your reload entirely. You also have characters that you can choose at the camp that have different abilities, but they require you to do damage to charge and take ages, so it's a mixed bag. Of the two I tried, the flashbang is absolute crap and seems to do nothing, and whilst the rocket launch is good for crowd control, it's far from consistent. Still, don't let me completely dissuade you from checking it out. The potential is there and it's definitely better with friends. It's just the gunplay isn't quite there yet. Still, I'll be keeping my eye on this one anyway. Hey, do you guys remember the 2000s, back when our iPod Nanos were forcibly preloaded with U2 and our shooters were brown? Nothing says Y2K boom shoot like crusty textures. SPRAWL 0 is a sort of sequel, sort of spin-off to the original SPRAWL from 2023, but with an emphasis on smashing physics props into the face of your enemies. Set against the backdrop of a dystopian cyberpunk society torn apart by war and religious zealotry, it feels more like a game from the golden era of console shooters as opposed to the twitchy, fast-paced nature of its predecessor. Why are the difficulties listed hardest to easiest? I don't speak Arabic like they do in Australia. Perhaps it's because this game's piss easy on anything but the hardest difficulty, at least the demo was, despite the scary flavor text. It starts with a council meeting so raspy I can only assume it's for Marlborough.
I just find it amusing. And I find you and your council a waste of time.
Whoever they are, they're unanimous in voting for purging our enemies from the titular SPRAWL, which is where we come in, a super soldier called 5, who seems to emit the same aura as Doom Guy.
It's not just stay out of his way.
Each mission starts with a briefing, which implies you're going to need to use your brain. In reality, you're just going to be following linear waypoints whilst role-playing as an Amazon delivery driver. We got ledge grabbing, we got sliding, a little speed boost down slopes. As for gunplay, all weapons hit like a fucking truck, but have extremely limited ammo. No ammo? Pelt the gun at someone's face and take their gun. No gun in the first place? Use your massive damage and AoE stun fist that's so OP the devs gave it a wind-up. Weapons range from burst-fire pistols and SMGs to incendiary shotguns and rocket launchers, utilising a tier system that determines their damage, with the occasional high-rarity weapon found in chests. But to really fuel your onslaught, you have an energy bar that dictates both your shield and your slow-mo abilities. The combat loop relies on you managing this energy accordingly. Normal kills drop pickups to restore your energy, and kills during slow-mo are your primary source of health. The shield, which you get a little later, can return enemy projectiles back to sender. As for enemies, they tend to travel in squads, and when you kill the squad leader, the remaining grunts are outlined on your HUD, so you can hunt them down and savour the fear in their voice. Speaking of fear, you can tell it influenced the enemy design, not only because they chatter, use cover and flank you, but because they scream whenever you immolate them or asphyxiate them. Or ragdoll them backwards as you're kicking up enough dust and particle effects to make John Woo wince. You're a walking god, maybe too much of one. For starters, the game features incredibly aggressive bullet magnetism during slow-mo, which does kind of cheapen the skill curve given the game's aiming for you. But it's clearly a power fantasy, so I guess that's the point. I just hate when my thrown objects ping off the level design because of the same magnetism. Combine that with an absolute abundance of health boxes, green healing doors between sections, and the health you get from slow-mo kills, the game robs itself of any real tension, so play on Martyr if you want mistakes to actually matter. Then again, I'm sure the full release will come with some new horrors to contend with given the boss fight tease at the end of the demo. If I had to nitpick anything else, I'd say the grenade explosion's a bit wimpy, and the overall pacing felt off at times. I get I'm meant to bask in the Half-Life-esque liminality, but the firefights are spread too thin for my taste. All in all, I wishlisted the fuck out of this because it's sick.
Forsaken. Vengeance.
No, I'm not feeling that actually.
Coward.
Don't let the gun-themed name fool you. Dimenshot is a melee game. It's still a shooter, it just shares a similarly disposable view on firearms as SPRAWL 0, and that you use it for one mag, then launch it at someone's face. However, melee weapons are your only source of health, so you better get used to using them. You've got a few to choose from, an axe, a katana, and a dart thing I barely used, each with their own alt attack that consumes some of your purple charge bar and makes enemies drop even more health. How do you get your purple charge back? Go do melee damage. It's a movement shooter, just with parrying and reflecting projectiles. Enemies come in a few shapes and sizes. There's crawly ones and flying ones, and dudes in armor all eager to fill the screen with vibrant noise. This game made me feel like a fucking moron. It kicked my ass until I realized I'd been too overstimulated by the beautiful neon colors to figure out basic mechanics. And now because of that, one of my new vocal stims is I am proud! I am proud! I am proud! I am proud! I am
isn't over. Remember who you faced.
I'm proud of him too. When Unk does lock the fuck in, what an invigorating experience it is to send bullets back at people and fly around the room like you're the blade in a slap chop and they're the veg. It's ultra kill if it owned a fedora and a katana, and I mean that as high praise. I can't wait for the full release. Go play it. Fucking slashed back at you, twats. Finally, we have Deeper Still, which might just take the crown for this batch of Next Fest shooters. The reason being, not enough games are doing this style. It's basically all the best parts of Cruelty Squad, but with none of the worst aspects of Cruelty Squad. The art style is actually aesthetically pleasing instead of looking like it was scrawled in MS Paint by a crackhead. I mean, look at this tasteful colour palette. I didn't even get a migraine once. And the mechanics aren't obfuscated behind intentional layers of archaic cryptography. Leaning actually works and doesn't make your crosshair roll around like bollocks on a bus. So yeah, it's an immersion sim, which seems to mean boomer shooter but with stealth and hyper-lethal enemies. You infiltrate an area, get your shit blown smooth off, alter your loadout a bit, headbutt an NPC to death, then try again maybe from a different angle. It's refreshing to scour levels for new entrances and sneaky vantage points instead of loot for the 1000th time. And they're blatantly designed to be approached from multiple angles. The goal is usually simple, get somewhere or retrieve something, but each level has little puzzles for you to solve to progress. And if a dumbass like me can figure them out, even if I did get stuck at this yellow keycard door on the nightclub level, then you can too. When you get into the action, survival can be incredibly tense. Fans of Hotline Miami are going to be familiar with holding angles and blasting guys in white suits. You'll need to aim for the head, or many heads. The real scary boy is this C4 strapped cuddle enthusiast though. Despite claiming it's really hard, it's surprisingly forgiving since killing enemies is how you regain health. But to stop it from being a mindless run and gun, you don't just reload your weapons normally. You play a charming little left click right click minigame instead, which is simple enough not to be annoying, but just complicated enough to make reloading a more tactical decision. Helping you navigate the chaos is a pretty large sandbox of tools, which is where the replayability comes in. Not sure if they plan to add a progression system, but you get access to everything right off the rip. I managed to beat the demo in under an hour, so I only tested a few things. The sniper is absolute bliss and has a ton of ammo. The grenade launcher is just as chaotic as you'd hope it'd be. The robot dog is basically what if Flores from Siege was perfectly balanced. I never unequipped the screwdriver that lets you open vents, because this game loves vents, and so do I if they're going to be this fucking convenient. Also, forget silencers. I never unequipped this stealth ability because its flavor text is so stupid, deafening all the enemies with a 150 decibel blast before you even arrive, meaning they can't hear your gunshots anymore. Big brain. It's just a fucking blast. It's exhilarating to anxiously peek into the unknown, hoping you can scrape back enough health to avoid having to fucking do it all over again. And of course, there's plenty of stupid NPC clones for you to interact with. Sometimes they'll say something incredibly insightful. Other times they'll say something useless. Either way, I'll consider headbutting them to death afterwards. Obligatory soundtrack appreciation pause. So yeah, go wishlist it. All links are in the description. But we all have a duty to wishlist this one because the game's solo developer quit their day job to make it. And Godspeed to them for that, because I know I'm gonna gobble this shit up on release. What the fuck? I'm now going to shamelessly bait your engagement by asking if you played any of these demos. What did you think of them? Is my ranking complete bullshit? Let me know. Also, if you happen to be in the mood for a long form about why Sleeping Dogs is brilliant, or Black Ops 3's campaign is bad, then that's an option, I guess. God knows what this channel is anymore.